Hello, my name is Linda, also known as Tortajala around the internet. I love creative journaling and all things stationery. And in this video, I wanted to share two new to me affordable Sailor fountain pens. I acquired these this past summer while I was in the US because they just cost less in dollars. So I had it on my to buy list. So this first pen is a Sailor Lecoule. And you can see it has very simple plastic packaging, a very inexpensive pen. Like, depending on if you get it in Japan or maybe Amazon or other retailers, it can be anywhere from like 15 to like $30 US because there are sales sometimes as well. By the way, if you check the official Sailor website in Japanese, it will actually have the list price of fountain pens like in yen. So at least you can understand like what's the regular price in Japan of pens that you might be interested in. By the way, sometimes this pen, Lecoule, it might be listed with a different spelling. I think sometimes Lecoule is written with like an R, maybe just lost in translation, like going from Japanese to English, but just something to look out for. But I previously only saw this pen in pastel colors, and it had the word Lecoule printed on the cap band area, so I don't like that at all. But when I saw these in a more classic color, I was actually very much drawn to it, especially this ruby red color with the gold trim, and it goes so well with like the Traveler's Notebook Love and Trip red TN as well. They have a whole line of these more like classic earthy colors, and there's nothing printed on the cap. It just says Sailor Japan in the gold cap band, and I generally just think it looks much more classy. Even though it's an entry-level pen, it's really inexpensive. And for a similar price to like a Kaweco Sport, I feel like this is nicer. So it's an MF nib, cartridge, converter fill, a pretty small sized pen in general. I almost feel like it's a pocket sized pen, but I don't think it's marketed that way. Um, I suppose it's closer to like the mini Progress Slims, but I don't have any of those pens. Honestly, I'm still in the exploration phase of if I like Sailor feedback, if I like Sailor pens in general, because their nibs are on the finer side, of course. So yeah, I'm just playing and figuring things out. So I am staying in the budget and affordable territory of pens. So let me just show you some comparisons with other pens that I have. So you can see that next to the Kaweco Sport, it totally looks like a pocket pen, right? Like the Sailor Lecoule. It's so mini. It's really compact, and I think it works really well with like a passport size TN. For comparison, you can see the Platinum Preppy is like much longer. Then I have a TWSBI Eco, which seems to be the longest pen here when posted. Then there is the Esterbrook SD. This is the Coffee Monsters Co. Version. So if you were to cap all of these pens and put them next to each other, you can see like the lengths of all of these pens. The last one is a Leonardo Momento Zero 2.0, which is like the biggest pen in terms of girth. But you can see the Sailor Lecoule, it is a pretty short pen. And so to me, it feels like it's more of a mini or pocket pen kind of style, pretty small for like smaller hands. Generally, I do like bigger pens, but I have fountain pens in all shapes and sizes because it really just depends on my mood. I think ultimately I just like variety. It's fun, it makes it more interesting to have like a different pen to choose. To use like every morning. So those are the pen comparisons with the Sailor Lecoule, and I'm just going to show you them all uncapped as well so that you could see the length um, in this way as well. And I'm trying to like line up all of the like nib parts so that you could see the length comparisons there. But yeah, pretty small pen. And again, I really like the fact that it is this classy, like darker ruby red, but with gold trim color. I guess I'm really into the burgundy pens lately. But just generally, I feel like for such an inexpensive pen, it certainly looks very classy or it looks like it's more expensive. Like if you put it next to the Platinum Preppy, which is an even cheaper pen, but it definitely like looks like cheap plastic, like the Platinum Preppy. But the Sailor Lecoule, it just looks like a classic fountain pen, like sort of like old-fashioned style almost. So I really do like it, and I think it's a very affordable, like budget-friendly option to go for. So now on to my next entry-level sailor pen. This is a Sailor Shikiori Yozakura. I think it means night cherry blossoms in Japanese, and I've had this on my list for a long time to buy, but I um, got it in the US because it's just less in like US pricing. And there is a matching like ink color with that name, Yozakura, but I did not get that. This fountain pen is a little bit more expensive than the Lecoule, but I think it's still under $50. I got it for like 30 something. Again, you can find deals online, and obviously if you're in Japan, it's definitely more like less expensive in yen. But this pen is from a series of Shikiori pens. I think it's called Tsukuyo no Minamo series, which means like water surface on the moonlit night. And there are a couple different colors, but they all have uh, like that white top finial part because it's supposed to represent the moon. And again, this is a cartridge converter fill kind of pen, classic cigar shape. And in the picture, sometimes it looks really bright pink, but it is not. It is more of a muted mauve type of pink with like sparkle that you can see if you hold it up close, obviously. And again, I'm going to compare it with other pens so that you could see the size. This one is definitely a bit longer than the Lecoule. I suppose you would consider it like more of a normal size pen. And by comparison, you could see it is still pretty like on the small side. It's like delicate almost. I feel like a lot of the sailor pens, obviously, if you get to the more expensive ones, they get larger and larger. So it seems like that's sort of how it goes when it comes to pens. It's like inexpensive, it's like smaller, and then like as you go up in size, it just gets more and more expensive and more fancy. But yeah, it's just interesting to note all of those differences. And so I'm going to put away these pens right now. And what I'm going to do is actually ink up my pen and sort of like fly through the process with you of what happened. My Sailor Lecoule, I actually just stuck in the black ink cartridge that came with it, so that was already inked. But this Sailor Shikiori, I tried to ink it with Colorverse Brunch Date. I mean, that's what I used to syringe fill like an empty cartridge. And the thing is, Sailor nibs are pretty fine, and yes, I know they have feedback, but I feel like this Colorverse Brunch Date ink is dry, and with the Sailor feedback, with the fine nib, it all just felt like I was trying to painstakingly squeeze ink out of the pen when I was writing, and so it was not a good experience at all. It is not a problem of the nib, which I will show you later on, because basically I changed the ink and then all was well. But just, the combination of all the things didn't work out. So a finer nib, the feedback, the ink that was super dry, like it just did not work out for me. So after a while of trying it out, I realized, oh, this is super annoying and it is not going to work. So at some point I did go and re-ink it completely. And I just chose to ink it with Diamine Forest Gâteau, and it writes way better, like a huge difference just putting a different ink in. And because again, just every pen, every nib, every ink is like all of those factors put together is going to give you a unique combination. So it always gives you a different experience. Um, so right now, I just want to show you all of the entry-level Sailor pens that I have. I have three, the Sailor Lecoule that you saw in MF. Then I already had a Sailor Prophet Jr. that I got a while back in a set that comes with ink. And this one actually writes the finest for me, even though it is also labeled MF. And has a similar nib to the Lecoule. Then there is the Shikiori, which is labeled fine, but with a new ink, the line comes out more similar to the Sailor Lecoule, and you can see that from the nib, it is also like a different kind of nib. So even though these are all like entry-level Sailor pens, they all write and feel a bit different to me. Um, I feel like you never know what you're gonna get because even if they're all labeled MF, like they're not gonna all be that consistent. And maybe it's because these are cheaper pens, but I feel like that runs the gamut, you know, always. It's sort of like clothing, like you buy from different brands. A small is not always the same, and sometimes even in the same brand, like a small is not going to be the same because the style of, the clothing might, just make it different. So, anyways, that's all just to say that even though these pens are labeled, MF or F, the experience is not the same, also depending on what ink I put in it. So I just wanted to show you a close-up of all of these three pens so that you could see that they are like slightly different nibs when you get to the Shikiori. It's not the same type of nib. And maybe that's why it costs a little bit more because Sailor, just as you go up the line, it's going to get more expensive. And at some point, it's the gold nib, so, way more expensive. So yeah, right now, I think that when writing with these three pens, my Sailor Lecoule and my Shikiori, they both have similar feelings, whereas my Prophet Jr is like the most feedbacky and the most fine. And I say feedbacky because it's not scratchy. I mean, it obviously works as a pen, but I feel like because it's so fine, you like just feel it more. So again, more testing is needed. I have already inked them with different pens, and I'm just going to keep trying different things and sort of writing down my feelings and experiences so I get like a better understanding of what it is I do like, and if I would ever like maybe even buy another Sailor pen that is more expensive. I know that they're not the same pens because these are entry level versus like the many other more expensive ones and gold nibs, but still, I think that that is just the natural progression, right? Like if you're exploring a brand, you try the entry level ones, and that will either entice you to want more of their pens or not. So let me know down in the comments. Do you have a Sailor fountain pen? Is it love or is it hate? Like, do you think that Sailor is always high quality, or do you think, yeah, it's okay, but maybe there's also a lot of hype, I would love to hear your thoughts. I hope it was helpful for you to see all of these pens together and hear about my experiences as a, obviously newbie and someone that only has entry-level Sailor pens. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button. And if you want to see more stationery videos every week, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching and supporting me. I wish you a very lovely day, and until next time, bye!